So back from my camping trip, and I already know, I haven't even unpacked yet. I still got all my stuff in here, my bedding. But one thing I already know what I want to do, mod to the Jeep, is if you grab this, pull it off, there's 2 threaded slots here for bolts. And I think I figured out that I went to Tractor Supply and bought these. These are M8 by 125 by 20 screws, bolts. They thread into these pre-drilled hole slots. I think, is it gonna go in there? There we go. So they screw into that. So already something, I know they sell like racks and stuff you can put up here for more storage. I really don't want one of those because I feel like it's gonna reduce my overall usability of the rear of this thing. And so instead, I think I can just build myself a small shelf on this side and also a small shelf on this side that's just the right size for my Jackery, and that would help out quite a bit because on this last trip my Jackery sat right here. So one of my complaints was that this didn't give me enough room to really stretch out as much as I wanted to. I know a lot of people will slide that seat all the way forward to give them a little bit more space and then diagonal it. So I want to kind of try that for my next approach. But in order to do that, I need a little bit more leg room. And, you know, I have some degree of luggage in here with me. I'm not going to leave my food or something like that outside where the raccoons can get it, or my clothes or my jackets or anything like that. So I need to have a little bit of space in here with me sleeping so I can store some things. So I'm going to try that. I need to design something, draw something up, but I should be able to fabricate something out of either flat bar or angle iron. And then just build myself a little basket and have 2 attachment points, and then that should be solid enough to hold it. I got my first bar cut. This is a 2-inch flat bar and it's 5.5 inches long. I cut it and then I rounded the edges with my bench grinder just to keep from having as many sharp edges as I can. The top hole there is 5/16 inch, and the bottom one, a lot of times, you know, I don't know this stuff is perfect, so I drill one hole one size bigger. That's a 3/8. So that way there's enough, you know, if you can see here and here, I just marked where the holes were. I didn't measure it or anything. I put the bolts in there, set this thing down, and then marked where they were, and then put it on the drill press, and then put those holes in there. So there, I just got them started. So they fit in good. There's a tiny bit of movement. The top is really tight, so it doesn't really have any movement. And then that little bit of extra I have down here on the bottom just to make sure that the holes got a little bit of play to make it easier to line the bolts up. What I'm gonna do is put this on, and then I'll put my piece of bar going this way, and I will put a level on it. I mean, my Jeep's level right now in the shop, so I'll put a level on it and get it level, and then draw where that's supposed to be, and then take it out and actually weld it on there. So I'm thinking I'm going to use a piece of 1-inch square tubing that just comes straight back, and then I'll use a flat bar attaching that to this side, and then I'll use a piece of angle on this side. I'm just going to throw a quick spark down here to tack this thing in place using this little 90-degree angle jig. That's not bad at all. So I'm going to tack that in place, and then there should be enough flex since this is flat bar. Once I get this side measured and cut, I can force it to go to the right spot and then tack it again. Okay, now that I got all those spots tacked on, I can go through and weld all the rest of these points. And I'm going to just weld the outsides of all these joints, not the insides. So now I just need to measure and cut 2 of these, which I only have 1 of these, so I'm going to have to find another one somewhere. I guess I could use 2-inch flat bar. Yeah, I think I'll use 2-inch flat bar. I have enough here, I can do that. So I'll cut 2 pieces, and what it'll do, it'll meet up flush right there, and then just weld to the bottom of this 1-inch square. So I got it all welded up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and just grind off all these welds to make it look a little bit nicer. I recommend these sandpaper discs. They work really well. They remove a lot of material really fast. So here we are. I got it all the welds grinded down smooth. You can tell a lot of the welds aren't perfect, but it's going to be plenty strong to hold that Jackery. One other thing I almost forgot, I want to make sure I put a couple of these on so that I can hook a bungee around it and run a bungee around the Jackery. So to get the angle correct on this, all I did was I set it up there, I stuck a level right here, and I held it until it was level, and then I took a Sharpie and I drew a line right here. Then I put a little mark on the back so I would know where to stop. I'm going to weld that on. That should do it. I'll let that cool down, and then I'll try to dry fit it, make sure it looks good, make sure the Jackery fits in it. And if that all works, then I will paint it so it looks better. Okay, I got the 2 bolts just kind of, they're not super tight, but they're put in there enough. And you can see that's how the Jackery sits. So I think it's gonna work. I mean, it's solid. I mean, once I get it even tighter, it's gonna be, I mean, you can see that it's moving there on its base a little bit. But when I tighten those bolts, it shouldn't move. And then I'll just wrap a small little bungees over the top of it, and there's where it'll be. Doesn't look too bad. So ideally I'm going to make another one for the other side, but I'm going to make it be able to hold my bigger size Jackery. There's my first coat of primer on this, and I got it out in the sun just to kind of bake it, help it cure a little bit more. The last few projects I've done, whenever I've put a coat of primer on it like this, I didn't wait long enough. I waited like maybe 12 hours and then I painted it. And it looks great, but then I noticed it scratches real easy. And so I read the directions on the can of spray paint. It said you should wait 48 hours before applying the base paint. So even though it's dry to the touch after 2 hours, give it some extra time. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait another day. I painted this last night, so by tomorrow night it should have been 48 hours, and I'll throw a coat of black paint on it. Here we are. I got it all painted up. It's had plenty of time to dry. I have dry fit it. You can kind of tell because you can see some scratched paint there, scuffed paint. And I used Velcro. I just took some Velcro. This is stuff from Walmart, and I have pretty much touching wherever the Jackery will touch it. And the point of that is just to keep it, you know, padded, keep it from scratching anything up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it installed there and see what it looks like with the Jackery on it. So there we are. Has a little bit of play. Obviously it'll bounce around unless I strap it down. So I got a couple ideas for strapping it down. I can either use one of these ball bungees or just a normal bungee, but I don't think these aren't really getting tight on it. So like here's an example. You know, I can only get those so tight. That may keep it from falling out of place, but going down a gravel road, it's still bouncing all over the place. But really what I should have done is just welded a little tab on here with a loop, and then I could have hooked this one down like this and run one more on the other side, and that would have been really strong and held it really well. So I'm sure I'll think of something. I just need to brainstorm ideas and see what kind of little adapters and doohickeys I have that can kind of come down and hold it. But you know, right there, if I could do that, that would work great. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more modification videos like this one.